the Gorilla Ignite build. You've seen how it's implemented at its apex. Now, what is the... Truth is a harsh word, but the reality of getting there. As you can see, I have 3 unspent skill points. I'll get into why in a little bit. We are not using the explodey part. We did during the campaign. Up until Act 9, when we had to change after Act 9. So Act 10 and the last Katava I did with this weapon here. I should have changed around 7 to 8 because it started to fall off way too much. Plus some of the other problems that the build has. This is recommended for mapping. I recommend, well, we'll use the explodey part. As you can see, this is Act 9 because we're in the bloody aqueducts. And as you can see, it's not all that awesome. That is why I changed. So we'll switch back to this weapon. It's not a specific weapon for this build. It's a cheap, and cheap I mean 1 chaos. Even less. So it's a cheap unique that does damage. And we do ignite and everything, so all you need is that input number to be a good enough number. Now, as you can see, we're jumping around looking cool. It is actually a quite fun build to play once you get some damage under you. But once you get out of that little damage section where you feel comfortable and you're just jumping all over things, it does feel a little wanting. Now I'll put the other one back in. So the Fist of War. We've pretty much just finished the campaign. We've done a little bit of maps. Tier 1 maps, we can do the boss eventually, depending on the boss and what mods the boss has. But as you can see, it is quite fun. All you do is just jump, slam, jump, slam, jump, slam, and they all fall down. And the ignite takes over and it falls away. Now, why do I have smite on my bar? Well, one, if I can push the right button, without any real spec into it, like is that the tree is going to help it, but without like going specific things for it, just what I had using on the other one. We'll have a look at some of the difference. So we, boom. As you can see, it is a lot quicker. Not as amazing to look at, and that stuff keeps getting in my way. Oh look, there's stuff under here that I want to pick up and I can't. Anyone else had that problem this week? So back to the review. A little side bit. Yeah. So Smite is more my single target because, no joke, the first time you run into Azora in Labyrinth, I was still using... I never used this until after the campaign. I tried Glacier Hammer, I tried anything that was just different that could maybe do stuff. I didn't try and replace the skill because that would be half the point out the window. But yeah, we're just using faster attacks, cruelty, and volatility. And on this we're using that, the early damage, cruelty, and ignite perforation. This was our weapon when we were fighting Exile after Act 3. It took 5 minutes to beat him in one phase. The first phase was painful because there's no single target damage. So it's not recommended as a leveling skill. Obviously, you need the damage around it. But do not use it until at least after the first one. I recommend not until after the campaign. Use Absolution, use whatever you want, just even Absolution without any tree specific things in Absolution, I would say it would do better. That's not a knock on the overall build, that's a knock on just the skill being hard to level with, which is a lot of skills, to be fair. So, this is the trick. We buy damage is pretty much what you should take away from this. We have this dual socket, which is replicated 3 times. We have this dual socket, which we need once. But this dual costs 1 to 2 divines. And this is not the specific dual, but is using the same principle of getting extra armor. The specific dual, if we have a look at POB, that's big, is composure. So you get composure up there instead. This dual, which we are missing, is meant to be burning bright and wasting affliction, which we then replicate 5 times. So both of them, and then once we get that, both of them. The extra dual slot that you'll end up with, like this, is whatever you need. Global accuracy is a big thing, because we're meant to have this, so we get the extra damage on a crit. So crit strikes in the past 8 seconds deal 4% more damage hits with elements and ailments. We have to go down here just so we can hit them every time. But once you get the global accuracy, drop that, put that back in. Some of this stuff I've actually added, like some of the armor, because we are very squishy without some of the added things I've done. This is expensive to just go through the campaign and putting in. It is a second, third, fourth character sort of thing when you got specific duels in mind that you're just grinding a better character to do and get your stuff for you. So the duels, I'll show you example, another duel like that. That's what the build recommends, something like that. But also on top of the expensiveness, we have a Watcher's Eye with Grace and Malevolence. The build has Grace as no reservation amulet. We have Storm Shroud. We have a couple others. We have a Grand Spectrum. We have a Grand Spectrum. And a Grand Spectrum. So yeah, we are buying damage. And there's no real 2 ways about that. Because unless you ignore like entire dual socket bits, that's where you have to allocate it. There's no choice. You have to get all your power from these duels, which is a negative, but also it's in your control. You put in the duel, you get the stuff, you're all good. You're not reliant on the actual passive tree giving you what you want. Overall, the single target is why I got Smite. It's not in the build recommendation. I did it because I was sick of jumping like this for like 5 minutes around any rare or unique. Because at one point, that's pretty much when we ran into a rare, it took me 1-2 minutes to even beat it. So, do play this build, but either pick a skill that you trust can do single target and clear, or keep in mind that you might need to have two skills. So one single target, one clearing. But the limit for this, based on going through everything, and is probably, unless you spend all that currency, the single target probably still won't get you past maybe Infinite Hunger and Black Star. If you become tanky enough to take the damage and the fight lasts so long, then you might get Searing Exarch and Eater. But just the general fact that we're AOE and not a single target, that's where the problem comes. And switching things around so it is single target, the damage comes down a lot because you're not getting that AOE explosions. You're not taking the damage from other enemies and exploding them. So it is possible, but very difficult to go anything higher than just a map wiper outer. And then you may need a single target to take out the bosses as you go. As in the map bosses, not the boss bosses. But let me know if you've played it, if you've had a look at it, if you think about playing it. I recommend you play it, do not level as it, but then change your character into it. It is very fun to just see them all fall down. So if you got currency, definitely do give this a try. I'll catch you in the next one, and we'll see what we're going to check out next.